Welcome to Sports and Touring, and today we're going to go into a bit of detail about the R8 GT Spyder.
R8 GT, best R8 ever made.
Yeah, full stop.
Yep.
End of story.
Yep.
Even the Spyder.
Yep.
So there are 5 key areas that I want to cover. Rarity, exterior styling, interior details, what's different under the skin of this car, not only to make it lighter but more powerful. And we're going to hit the road, and I'm going to talk to you about the driving dynamics of this car, because it is nothing like a typical R8. The daily drivable supercar stereotype was thrown out the window with this car. It is in no way daily drivable, unless you're a complete idiot like me. Back in 2011, Audi released the R8 GT. It was the coupe version. It was 100 kilos lighter than the standard version. Everyone was blown away by it. They only made 333, and a year later they followed with the Audi R8 GT Spyder. Like the coupe, they only made 333 of the Spyder worldwide. Only 33 cars made it to the UK. Now the base price was £158,000 in 2012, and this particular car, with the options it's got on it, which I'll run through in a minute, probably sold for between 170 to 175. Now in today's money, that's nearly £200,000, which I think technically still makes it the most expensive R8 ever made. And what adds to the rarity of the GT is that it came with specific features and options that were only available on the GT. The standard features are the carbon fibre double front splitter, the canards, carbon fibre smaller size mirrors. An option on the GT was actually this carbon fibre surround around the windscreen, which, would you believe, retail with VAT is £9,600 just for that little carbon fibre surround there. The wheels were lightweight wheels. These were also unique to the GT, although they were made available on other R8s in future models. Carbon ceramic brakes came as standard inside the 19-inch wheels, and the much copied GT rear wing. This fixed rear wing was made of carbon fibre, and there's so many replicas of this on the market. You've got the carbon fibre vents on the top of the rear deck, a more aggressive rear diffuser, all carbon fibre, and the GT rear bumper, made of carbon fibre, also had these distinctive rear vents. The roof cover is also carbon fibre. Some options weren't available in certain countries. For example, those GT seats weren't available in America. They didn't meet the safety regulations in America of having side airbags in the seats, as far as I understand. Now, there were many aspects of the interior that were also unique to the R8 GT. These particular dials here with the white background, obviously with the R8 GT insignia on there. The Alcantara steering wheel, the Alcantara right here, satin carbon fibre monoposto around the dashboard here, and this one has a few optional extras like the additional carbon fibre in the door cards there. This particular car has got some aftermarket Alcantara fitted by the previous owner, and one of the distinctive features of the GT was this gear selector here with the R8 GT insignia and what number of the 333 in the world this particular car is, and it so happens that this is number 96. But other than that, the interior of the GT still had a number of the qualities of the R8 of its time. This questionable material, my friend James of JM on Cars calls it gardening glove material, and the plasticky cubby holes behind me, they weren't that great. But of all the Gen 1 R8s from that era, this was definitely one of the nicest. But one of the most distinguishing features of the R8 GT interior were these GT bucket seats. These are fixed bucket seats. They only slide backward or forward. There's a bolt that you can take out in order to adjust the height a little bit, but that's kind of set up specifically for you. And honestly, these seats are pretty narrow. They're clearly designed for a racing driver and not a middle-aged car enthusiast like me. And for some, that might put them off, but for me, this made the car even more attractive. One, it encourages me to lose some weight, and two, the way it holds you when you are driving and the connection you feel to this car through these seats it's another level. When you combine the track-tuned suspension, which I'll talk about once we get on the road, the lightening of the chassis, the stiffening of the chassis, and these seats, and the improvements they made to the R-tronic gearbox, honestly, it's like a race car for the road. And the interior is not shy about reminding you that this is an R8 GT. The GT insignia is everywhere. It's on the dials, it's on the steering wheel, it's on the carpets, it's on the seat, and it's on the door sills. The GT Spyder is 85 kilos lighter than the standard Spyder, and only a few kilos more than the standard coupe. Now, of course, the coupe GT is 100 kilograms lighter. So if you want to go for the lightest possible R8, then you really want to go for the GT coupe. But honestly, for me, it was more about the whole experience of driving the car, the dynamics of it. And I can tell you, there is nothing like driving through a tunnel with the roof down on this thing. The sound of that V10 with the roof down is epic. Speaking of the soft top, it is designed specifically to be as light as possible, adding only 42 kilograms to the overall weight of the car. There is one handling advantage to the Spyder, of course, and that is its lower centre of gravity, partly from the additional strengthening that's been added to the sills, and of course the removal of the roof. And that centre of gravity is made even lower once the roof is down. And it's not just the visible carbon fibre that is reducing the weight of this car, it's also the carbon fibre you can't see because it's under paint. The rear bumper in particular, the deck lid of the roof cover, the aluminium clamshell bonnet is also lightened. The seats alone, they reduce the weight by 31 kilograms, and the carbon fibre version of those seats reduce it by a further 4 kilograms. The windshield is made of a thinner, lighter glass, and the lightweight carpets removed a further 8 kilograms. The brake calipers, they've been anodised rather than painted to save just a few more grams, and of course the carbon ceramic brakes help as well. Now onto what really makes this car super special, what's going on under the skin. The engine frame is made of a lightened magnesium, the aerodynamic under tray, that's thinner and lighter, and between the front splitter, the canards adding additional downforce on the front, this extended rear diffuser and the flat underfloor, it actually generates downforce at high speeds with a drag coefficient of only 0.37. And the composite aluminium space frame chassis combined with carbon fibre has also been lightened by actually having a number of cutouts weighing only 212 kilograms in total. Weight was removed from the area surrounding the transmission and absorber masses on the brakes and proc shaft to save another 3.6 kilograms. And despite all of that, the GT Spyder still manages to not only be lighter but also stiffer than the standard Spyder. So with all of the visible carbon fibre, the lightened clamshell, the lighter windscreen, the lightened and stiffened space frame chassis, as well as the lightened magnesium engine frame on the GT, overall adds up to about 85 kilograms lighter. And where there is additional weight, all of that is right in the bottom of the car, and actually results in this car having its own chassis code. So the chassis code for the GT Spyder is not the same as the standard R8 Spyder. And we couldn't finish talking about what's under the skin without talking about the engine. And that is all you can see of the engine. It depends, do you want to hear the engine or do you want to see it? The R8 GT had a slightly more powerful engine than the R8 Spyder of its time as well, running at 560 horsepower and 540 newton meters of torque, resulting in a top speed of 197 miles per hour. And that 5.2 litre V10 absolutely screams through the Miltech race exhaust fitted to my particular car. So good, and it sounds so good. It just points. It is sharper, it is twitchier, it is more maneuverable, more agile, more responsive than a standard R8. And I've even driven the modern R8, the rear wheel drive without the compromised front steering, and the steering in this is better. The ride is less comfortable, but way more sporty, and for me, that is more important. I just want to feel at one with the car, and you really do. Now, I have to admit, I have the RE Performance special settings on the geometry on this car, which, well, I've got a whole new video for that recorded, which you'll have to subscribe to actually watch, but it just makes this car even better. And even the R8 gearbox shifts faster in the GT than in the standard R8 of this generation. Now, of course, it is the R8 gearbox, and everyone slates it, and honestly, some of the criticism that it gets, 100% accurate. However, some of the criticism I think is just coming from people that were hoping for an automatic box that just shifts so smoothly, but this is a robotized manual. As I've said in one of my previous videos, and I'll leave a link to that in the description, where we compare the transmissions of different R8s from manual, R-tronic and S-tronic, you have to actually do some work to get the best out of it. You have to give a slight lift on upshifts, just like on a older sequential race car before we had flat shifting. And I know, because I've driven one. You can flat shift in the car, but I found that actually a subtle lift, even on full throttle acceleration, it seems to do a slightly faster smoother shifts. You don't need to do it, but it does help the car along. It gives you more involvement, more engagement. It's like, honestly, I really like the experience of the R8, that thump in the back. It feels like a proper race car, and honestly, I think it suits the character of this car. And those carbon ceramic brakes, they work. Oh! Just everything about the car just feels so taut and responsive. If you want to drive a supercar, even at slow speeds, and feel like it's a beast, feel like it's raw and just ready to go and super responsive, and you don't mind compromising a bit of comfort, then like me, you'll love the GT. I know that some people, they want to have a more comfortable car, they want to have a daily drivable supercar, and that's fine, that's great for you. But for me, if I buy a car like this, I want that old school supercar rawness, and you just don't get that in the standard R8. Not in the way that you get it in this.
So, with its rarity, the exterior design that's both elegant and aggressive, and the interior details, it's certainly one of the most special R8s ever made. But when you take all the changes made under the skin, from the tweaks to that 5.2 litre engine, that sounds absolutely incredible with the roof up, but epic with the roof down. The improvements made to the aluminium space frame chassis, the reduced weight, the double wishbone suspension that runs 10mm lower from factory, that has height adjustable threading for use on track. This all combines to deliver a driving experience that, whether your preference is the coupe or the Spyder, makes the R8 GTs the best R8s ever made.
It is, oh, it's just another thing. Just another thing.
And if you're curious how we get some of those impossible camera angles and panning shots, make sure you check out this video here, which explains how we use the Insta360 One RS and our other cameras to achieve this. And if you want to learn more about the R8 GT, check out this playlist here, give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, choose notifications on all videos, and I know I'll see you next time on Sports and Touring.